I would now like to bring here on board and in our virtual stage here at Europeana 2021 our speakers that will be joining us for a half an hour debate on sustainability for the cultural heritage sector, the new European Bauhaus, and all the issues we've been discussing. So it's my pleasure to introduce all the speakers. So we have first Susanna Eklund with us. She's a designer at National Library of Finland. Thanks a lot for joining us, Susanna. Great to have you here.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
We also have Barbara Fischer with us. She's a liaison counsel at the Deutsche Nationalbibliothek. Thanks a lot for being with us, Barbara. And last but not least, we also have Héctor Aliaga. He's an architect and a European project technician with the Fundación Santa María la Real in Spain. Good morning, Héctor. Thanks a lot for being with us.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Good morning to all.
Good morning. So let's kick off the panel, and I would in fact like to stick with you, Héctor, in order to ask a little bit about the new European Bauhaus. So it would be very interesting to hear from you about the current strategy. So first of all, how are you engaging with this new EU initiative, and perhaps how do you think it can better encompass the interests of the cultural heritage sector? The initiative as it currently stands.
Okay, thank you very much, Hannah, for your question. Well, first of all, I would like to say thank you for the invitation, because actually one thing that I think we should apply in the European Bauhaus is the include the voice and speak up the joint generations, and that's the reason why I'm here. I'm glad that Snefka said it before, and just today also in your panel discussion, some of the panelists talked about it, and now I'm going to focus on the question. And well, actually, this initiative, they have many ideas converging together, and we need to try to apply three concepts, which are beauty, aesthetics, and sustainability, and inclusion. However, of course, as you said, I'm an architect, and I cannot forget that how the arena Bauhaus was made. And for me, this renewal and revival revision include many values that need to be included in this new 21st century. But indeed, I'm really interested on the aesthetic issues and the value of beauty that need to be included into the pillars of this initiative. In particular, for example, in the transformation of cities, including how important is landscape for these cities, how we should connect with nature in this sustainable transformation, and how this can be helping for development into the connections between city, digital transformations, and sustainability. Well, that should be actually my focus on this issue. Thanks so much for the question.
Thank you very much, Héctor. I would like to follow up with the rest of the panel. So perhaps if I can bring Susanna on board with me, how do you think topics such as climate action, initiatives like the new European Bauhaus present opportunities for the digital cultural heritage sector to come together, to connect and to engage?
Well, I'd say that as you brought up already earlier when you were with the interview with Snezhka, we are tackling the same problems, and there's this great systemic change that is needed. So cross-sectoral and multidisciplinary collaboration is very key, and we need to form this kind of group intelligence to be able to tackle all these challenges that we are having, and I think that what the the green paper that was made by Europa Nostra. I think that's a very valuable initiative for making the cultural heritage sector more seen. in the larger policies, because this is something that the missing out and the culture not being recognized in these larger policies. That's something that's also that can be seen on the local level of for example, the Finnish ICT sector climate strategy that was published. It was it had no mention of culture or cultural heritage, only the health and social services regarded as the public services. So I think that these initiatives are very, very important.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Susanna. Barbara, if I can turn to you now. What do you think? Like, how do you think these topics, the sustainable transition, the new European Bauhaus, give opportunities for the cultural heritage sector, which is also in turn facing another transition, this digital transition, to really come together, to really engage?
Yeah, thank you for asking me this question. I believe that every challenge is a chance. Climate change, climate emergency is actually a massive chance for us to collaborate, because we have to stand in this, as Snežka said, we have to stand in this all together on a global field. And digital transformation is helping us here, because through the means of digital transformation, we can more easy organize participation. We can more easy organize knowledge management, make it knowledge accessible, knowledge from indigenous people, knowledge from our former generations, the knowledge that is kept in buildings like the Alhambra in Spain, where you don't need to have the air conditioning in order to have the same temperature throughout the year. I mean, this is really awesome, and this was built like, well, it was certainly built before Columbus. I don't really recall when it was, but a long time ago, and it still works. And so I think we are able to learn a lot from each other, and we have to learn rapidly from each other. So I'd like to be as positive as Snežka. I find it hard sometimes, but yeah, let's see the climate emergency as a big chance for collaboration, and this is what we're going to need in the world.
Thank you very much, Barbara. If I can follow up with a question to all the panel, because something that Susanna mentioned earlier is how European Green Deal policies do not really mention cultural heritage. I mean, perhaps with the exception of the new European Bauhaus. So how do you think that the sector can be better integrated in the policies in the European Green Deal and sustainability and climate action? Who would like to take the question first? Perhaps, yes, Snežka, please go ahead.
Now, I just wanted to react to what you said. Yeah, it's not there, perhaps just the European, new European Bauhaus. But it's not just, it is, Ursula von der Leyen said last September, 1 year after the launch of that initiative, that this is the soul of the European Green Deal. So this was an extremely strong statement, which means that they really realize that though 2 years ago in 2019, in the text, culture, heritage is not mentioned, 2 years later, they say that this is the soul of it. And they understand that the green transformation is the cultural transformation. So we really now have the door is wide open, and it is up to us to sort of really engage and come up with creative solution, and there are many. So just the feed, and the whole point is that the new European Bauhaus, in fact, is not just a project, at least that is what we are always advocating. It ought to be something that will be irrigating, inspiring all policies of the European Union. So the challenge is huge, and it's in front of us.
Barbara, if you'd like to follow up.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to emphasize on the risk that the digital transformation is also raising to us. As you said, Snezhka, we are part of the solution. We certainly are, but we are also part of the problem. As GLAM institution, as cultural heritage institution, I'd like you to bear in mind that Europeana, for instance, is part of these data amounts that is only in the last 5 years, or in the coming 5 years, it's going to raise to 175 zettabytes of data. So if you never have heard that number before, I didn't, I had to look it up. So a zettabyte, that means a billion trillion, or that's 1 and 21 zeros coming along with it. So all these data does have an impact on our climate. It does have an impact both on carbon emissions, but it also reduces the amount of natural resources we have in our world, and that we should share with all of the people in this world. And for now, it's basically the global north that is using these resources, be it like mobile devices, computers, servers, everything, and it is not in the global south. So if we talk about climate justice, we have to take that in mind, and we have to have in mind that, of course, we can tackle a lot with climate with the digital transformation, but we have to become more conscious about its footprint. We have to become more conscious. What does it mean when we transfer our lives into a more digital way? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hector, I think you unmuted yourself briefly, so I'm not sure if you wanted to jump in as well.
Yes, thank you very much, Hannah. Well, actually, regarding this question and the question you said before about the new European Bauhaus, normally when I think about the issues of sustainability and Green Deal paper, I normally focus and I keep in my mind the question of the issues of the twin transition. You know, like we need to keep that in mind because. We need to highlight that in this key element of the European Green Deal and also in this strategy and action of the new European Bauhaus, we should keep in mind that we need to achieve the emission neutrality on the world, in the European continent, and we should develop the circular economy and promote sustainable development. And I think this is actually one of the main roles that digitalization and digital cultural heritage should work with in parallel. So if we need to keep in mind that this commitment of the urbanization and having circular economy, we need to really define how digital cultural heritage actions can help in these two ideas. No, so which are in main on one hand the ecological transition. In my case, as I said before, including how the relation between nature and cities, but as well the digital revolution and transformation, which is actually what we're living now in 21st century. In this action, we can include digitalization, digital dissemination, replicability actions, or maybe we can connect experts between different territories with different realities, different areas of expertise through new technologies, so we can help to analyze all together, but always keeping in mind that digital cultural heritage should help us to get this digital transformation through ecological transition. And I think this concept should be applied in all the topics we're debating today, and those are one of my principles. So every day that I'm trying to apply these issues and these questions in my daily life. That's the point. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Hector. In order to complete the circle, perhaps Susanna, you'd like to jump in. What do you think about the discussion so far about the sector's contribution to environment?
I think I'd like to follow up with what Barbara said about the exponential growth of digital content and the importance of acknowledging the environmental impact we are having. So it's we often talk about designing efficient services and technology and that kind of, but it's not enough to because there's this paradox that the better quality content and the better the more efficient the technology is, the more it is used, and it is a good thing, but it's also eventually causes the energy consumption to grow. And so this is why I think that we need to start rethinking our digital cultural heritage processes as well, and have environmental consideration in planning our everyday processes to reduce any digital excess that we are producing right now. And perhaps also we need to question, does everything need to be digital? So instead of focusing on quantity, we should think about what societal value is acquired by this digital transformation, and why, what good does it do? So finding this net impact and trying to promote that, and also finding this or adopting a sufficiency approach to our digital preservation and sharing processes. And there's actually this very interesting master's thesis that came out this autumn from Lund University by Eva Pascalidou, who introduces this concept of efficiency into the digital cultural heritage network in Finland. So that's something that people might be interested in, and I'm sure somebody will share a link to that later on. But that's very interesting. And one more point. There's a lot of new technologies and emerging technologies, and we don't really have reliable information about their environmental impacts yet. So I think we need to investigate them, and also in the funding instruments that we have for the cultural heritage sector, try to promote the projects having this environmental consideration. It would be really nice to see, for example, the IIIF or some artificial intelligence project also getting or producing data on what the environmental impact of implementing them is.
Thank you very much, Susanna. You've touched upon the challenges, but also about the solutions that are already perhaps available, or that sectors should already start considering. So I see that Barbara wants to react. I would like to give you, just a brief reaction so I can jump into a question from the audience, please.
Yeah, just quickly. When I talked about this panel yesterday to a colleague, she said, well, all these data on the net, that's basically pornographic kind of movies. That takes the biggest share. Actually, this is not true any longer. It's not porn. It is all our messaging that takes the biggest share. So it is not the digital content. We don't have to be shy for that. We shall investigate more how we, through a semantic web, can reduce the traffic. Maybe we don't need to copy and recopy the things. We need to find them easier, reducing the amount of traffic that finding is causing. But what we have to be more conscious is what we do without thinking, answering to an email with still another smiley, or never clicking off the default messaging. Oh, there has been a change in my Confluence network, or there has been a new tweet on my Twitter account, or whatsoever. These are the things we have to become more conscious. And I think, Susanna, you're really right. New technologies very often just lead to more consumption. What we have to be aware about is we have to reduce, and we have to reduce, and we have to reduce. So we have to change our behavior, and technology is not like easily make it for us. We just continue the way we are. We really have to think how our former generations lived, and take that as a mold, and say, okay, what could I do? What could we do as institutions to really change our behavior towards a reduction, towards less is more, make less is more the beautiful principle that leads us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Barbara, for following up. I think that's a very interesting, important point to be reflecting upon. I would like to now bring in another question from the audience, because if we look at the audience of Europeana 2021, we see a balance of between veterans in the cultural heritage sector field, but also several newcomers, several even the first timers in our conferences, in our network. So we have a question from an anonymous attendee who's asking, what should be the priority for those just coming into the cultural heritage sector in relation to climate action, and how this can be achieved or balanced with all the challenges the sector is facing? I was thinking that perhaps Hector would be able to answer this question. What should the priority be for those first-timers, newcomers into the cultural heritage sector when it comes to sustainability and climate action?
Well, thanks so much for this question. Actually, I can answer it from my proper experience. When you approach the sustainability and cultural heritage and digital transformation sector, there are many things that come together, and they might be put together like in a very complex actions. So I would say that you should rather focus on what you know and what you can do from your side. I mean, as Snefka said before, not only great institutions can do great actions, but small actions that you know that you can achieve, that you can control, can be then later replicated. So I think one of these challenges is to be aware about all these concepts and ideas and problems that you have to deal with, and you should focus on maybe some areas that you might control, and in order to get this expertise step by step, and step-by-step approach to some other fields or areas of actions in order to apply the principles of sustainability and digital transformation. Because the point is that, as we were discussing, when you try to transform everything digitally, we forget that we need to experience and we need to live cultural heritage from first hand, like face to face. So we cannot like make everything digital, and I would rather say like to be aware of all these factors and apply them like step by step.
Thank you very much, Hector. We are approaching the end of our session today. I see Susanna has a reaction. Just please keep it to 30 seconds, like just a small brief remark, please.
Yeah, I'd like to add that it's a lot about finding your own sweet spot for making the largest impact. So not everybody has to be a politician or joining the Extinction Rebellion, but just finding what your best way is for making an impact in your different roles. whether it is in your personal life or in your working life. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Susanna. I would like to start wrapping up the panel, but I have a kind of and a nice question to perhaps wrap it up today, which is that our discussion that we've had today remind me of a quote of a book, in fact, that I remember reading a while ago about, well, she doesn't need any presentation, but Greta Thunberg, the Swedish climate activist, where she says that nobody is too small to make a difference. So perhaps it's a bit of an end of an idea for this panel, and perhaps a bit of a spark of knowledge. Do you think this holds true for the cultural heritage sector, and which is the role of the digital cultural heritage sector into a more sustainable world? Snezhka, would you like to go first?
Indeed, nobody is too small to make a difference. And I would say that what is the really role for all of us, small or big, is to communicate to our audiences, because by definition, cultural heritage, we are interacting with a lot of audiences. So we need to bring them all along and to communicate to them about the challenges, but also about the ways that each of us can contribute to climate action. I mean, I loved Barbara what was saying, realizing it's not only not taking the plane, but also not sending useless messages via your phone. So all these little things matter. And since heritage institution directly or via digital means communicate with a lot of audiences, we can do a lot to get more people to join that movement. And perhaps we can share also with the audience, I don't know whether now or later, but during the COP also, the Climate Heritage Network has presented a toolkit communicating about climate change and climate action that we can do. So our colleagues already have done really a set of ideas that we can all embrace, and the smallest sector can implement them. So once again, it's not reinventing the wheel. There are already quite a number of organizations that have done something. So let's quickly catch up and learn and share these resources and influence and engage as many individuals, as many small contributions. And if we have many small contributions, we will end up having a large contribution of us all together.
Mm-hmm. Barbara, would you like to go next for a quick reaction?
Yes, I believe that we are, as humans, able to learn. We have learned to see always with the dollar spectacles. We calculate the cost, the economic cost. This is like a mantra we keep on in all our decisions. What about training our brains to flip from this dollar lens to the eco costs? Make sure that whatever you do, whatever decision you take, in whatever level you are, that you do calculate the ecological cost of it. And Snezhka, I really appreciate what you say. There's a lot of knowledge out there that helps you to do this kind of balancing. So please use that and make that brain flip and start with it right now, today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Susanna, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I think that there's the challenge with sustainability discussion and then the politics. The discussion is often very abstract. But there's this, there isn't any magic wand of accessibility or sustainability to transform objects into bits into well-being. So what is needed is raw work and hands-on instructions to do that, because that's what we are all trying to answer. What can I specifically do in my my own work. And I really love the work that Europeana's Patrick Ehlert is doing with giving these hands-on instructions on how we can make our online presence more green. And tomorrow he's instructing on how to calculate the carbon footprint of your digital services. So this is something that I think is very, very important. And also boldness in being brave enough, even though you might be suffering from a imposter syndrome, to still do what you think you can do and take it by baby steps.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Sorry, Susanna. Sorry, I just had just the schedule in my head. Susanna, thanks a lot. So I would like to have Hector. Last but not least, nobody's too small to make a difference. What do you think?
Yeah, well, thanks for letting me end in this comment. But of course, I think that there's something that we need to keep in mind, that we are all learning all the time, all of us. We are developing and we're transforming and within in digital transformation. So we're never small. We just going step by step by learning by doing, for example. So when you get into these actions, you can just do what you can do from your side and then spread it all over the other connections and people. And with good communication and skills, nobody is small. In this case, for example, education becomes a really fundamental tool that should be considered. We need to promote and educate not only young people, young generations, but all society in this transformation. And with the small action, nobody is small. We really need to care about the community sense, and with this community, we can really get these huge good results for sustainability and a sustainable future. So it's not about a great action, but it's the cooperation and coordination between all the people that is interested in cultural heritage and sustainability transformation.
Thanks a lot, Hector. We need to wrap up the panel, unfortunately, because time is flying by. But it's been a really interesting discussion that we've had today. So thank you so much to Snezka, to Susanna, to Hector, and to Barbara for being with us. So now I would like to stick with Barbara for a couple more seconds, because a notion that's been coming up all over this panel this morning, I believe, is the importance of the community. So I'm just wondering, in terms of tackling climate action, collective action, why is the community so important? If you could briefly let us go through it.
Right. Thank you, Anna. Well, I think all these days now, during the Glasgow conference, we have seen so many young people calling on us. And I think and I refer to the generations born in between 1955 and 1995, we are the ones in charge. And we are also the ones responsible for the mess these young people are finding and they have to cope with in their future. So it's our duty, at every one of us, we are in duty, and we have to start to make the climate action right now. And as GLAM institutions, as Snezka said, we are both threatened, but we are also part of the solution. So we do have the outreach. We have all the audiences at hand. Imagine the Europeana initiative reaching out to thousands of institutions, and through those institutions to millions of people. So this is something we can use, we can instrumentalize, and we are also able to deliver the context. We can place our message into the context of both history and science and knowledge. And the last thing I'd like to remind you is that we in the GLAM field, we are trusted people. We have a large credibility among our audiences. And so if we engage them, if we talk to them and we know how to do that, then we can really make a large difference. And this is how the climate action community that started off in Lisbon, like 2019, we have urged the Europeana initiative to take action. And I think the next second is going to show the results of that urge. And I'm very happy to the next minutes to come. Thank you.
Indeed, thank you very much, Barbara, for sticking with us for a couple more minutes, because indeed, I heard that the community will be key to some very exciting news around climate action and the Europeana initiative. So I would like to bring here to the virtual stage some special guests that will be staying with us for a few minutes to talk about it. So we have Harry Verwaayen with us, the General Director of the Europeana Foundation. Also Susan Hazen, the Chair of the Europeana Network Association, and Marie-Véronique Leroy, the Chair of the Europeana Aggregators Forum. Harry, to start with, perhaps, like what's your main takeaway from today's session?
From today's session, oh well, how incredibly important it is to take collective action. I think that's the one single thing that I take out of this, and I really want to thank all of our eminent speakers, Śnieżka, for that invigorating talk that puts really a bit of hope into this whole discussion, and all the speakers for their contributions. That was really fantastic.
All right, so please tell us what is the news today.
Yes, we do have a bit of news. I think today marks an important moment in the history of the Europeana initiative. I'm here with the two other heads, I would say, of the Europeana initiative bodies, and we're here to announce something. And the announcement is that, well, we've heard, and I think it's become crystal clear how critically important it is to take collective actions against climate change. It has also become crystal clear how important it is that we mobilize the Europeana network to positive change, and we will do that in the context of digital transformation. I think it has been said several times. It has both a very positive impact and there's a negative impact to challenge. So today we present proudly, I would say, after a lot of work from many people in this community, started by Barbara and other people who were relentless in bringing climate action to our attention. We're presenting a manifesto. And that manifesto is both an acknowledgement of the issues that we're facing, but also the recognition that we have something to contribute. And that manifesto recognizes that, is undersigned by all the three bodies of the European initiative, and presents a number of guiding principles for our work.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Harry. I mean, that's really, really exciting. So if now I can bring Susan with us, why is the manifesto important for the Europeana network?
Well, first of all, let me just thank Barbara and the Climate Action Group, Peter and Killian, for actually instigating such a powerful project and leading us, kicking and screaming into this wonderful manifesto and the determination to make a difference. I'm highly excited that we're celebrating this moment, and the idea of the action, the European action, was maturing in the network is a very exciting thing for us. But in terms of passion, Barbara has brought to this her passion. But as a network, we're stronger together than the sum of our individual parts, and we want to take collective action in a passion together, the same way that Barbara has been leading us. And in order to make the systematic change to a green transformation, we need to work together. but we're lucky in the network that we have cultural heritage professionals that are embedded in the field, as Barbara mentioned before. And of course, we can all learn together and share together. And our actions together give a truly powerful voice. So our 3,000 plus members of the network can come together to learn and share and do our eco thinking together. I think this is a very exciting moment.
This is a really exciting and interesting moment. So if I can perhaps turn back to you, Harry, for one more question. What are you committing to in this manifesto?
Yeah, I think that is, of course, the critical question. So I think besides the fact that this is a formal acknowledgement that we take this very, very seriously and committing to take action, we've designed a set of 4 guiding principles. And I'll just walk you very quickly through them. So the first one is that we will embed ecological thinking and climate action from the start in all of our planning activities. So as Susanna already mentioned, we're doing a carbon footprint assessment at the moment through Patrick Ehlert and the Climate Cross team at the Europeana Foundation. That will help us to track, measure, and see how we can, for example, work better with our providers and then make sure that they have also sustainability at the heart of what they have to offer. So secondly, we will, in true Europeana spirit, I would say, foster collaborative action. So that means that we will, through the community that will be set up, that has been set up already, the 7th community of the Europeana network, share best practices, work with other organizations like Europeana, the Climate Heritage Network, to collectively really have an impact. Thirdly, and this goes, of course, almost without saying, we will embed ecological friendly practices into our day-to-day. The most obvious examples are, be conscious about travel, be conscious about catering, and more we become conscious of the digital waste that we all produce. This is a relatively new concept to me. I've always thought, digital is a bit ephemeral, but it isn't. And finally, and I think this is also where Barbara and Susan and Marie will play a crucial role. How can we leverage the power of the network that we have of all these individuals? And we've talked a lot about you don't have to be a museum director or even a big museum. You can be a small museum. Everyone can contribute. So we will make sure that we raise awareness of the issue.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. And now, last but not least, if I can bring with us also Marie-Véronique. How do you think the manifesto resonates at the level of aggregators? And what does it imply overall for digital cultural heritage professionals?
Thank you, Anna. And I also thank very much Barbara and Harry and Susan for initiating the process and preparing this manifesto. So this is a joint position expressing a common vision and common principles that apply to the whole initiative. But as you can imagine, it has a specific echo in the aggregator forum. We are really the junction point between the cultural heritage institutions, the local, national, domain and thematic aggregators. We will express it this afternoon. We have 40 accredited aggregators, so a strong network. So the manifesto, it has a common, Harry mentioned it, that there is this misleading idea that going fully digital is ecological, eco-friendly, and so on. So I think the manifesto, it's really a way to challenge this common belief. Harry also mentioned yesterday that we can all be agents of change for digital transformation. But I think we can also be agent of change to bring more sobriety in our daily digital practices, and also in the processes that we put in place at the organization level. As aggregators, we are encouraged to facilitate the data flow and to build a data space. So the manifesto is really, it's implying that we have to do it in an ecological and responsible way. And there are technology, the choices of technology that we are heading to. It's a way of taking this into account.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Marie-Véronique, and all of you for joining us. I mean, I believe it's a shame in a way to be digitally at the moment, because otherwise I think that all our network and all our participants will be standing up into a round of applause for this action taken to bring climate action to the Europeana network. So thanks a lot once again. And if I can ask one last question, Harry, where can the audience and the entire network find the manifesto?
Yes, thank you, Anna. The manifesto should be now sent to you as a link in the chat. I'm hoping it will be visible on Europeana Pro, and of course we will be seeing tweets. So at the risk of creating a little bit of digital waste, I am going to ask everyone to share this manifesto as widely as you can, spread the word, because it is very important that all of our partners, all of the people that work with us understand where we stand in this very, very difficult and challenging environment. So I want to thank everyone for doing that, and I hope this really resonates very, very widely.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Harry, and thank you very much, everyone. I heard that the manifesto has already gone live, so indeed, we encourage you to take a look, to read it through, to share it, and to spread the word on this interesting and crucial initiative for our sector. So, thanks again to everyone who's been joining us for the course of today. We need to wrap up this morning plenary session.